The world has watched in stunned silence as the US President Donald Trump openly declared his ambition to take over Greenland, an unthinkable move in international politics. An isolated island, rich in resources and strategic value, suddenly at the center of geopolitical power plays. Why? Because for Trump, Greenland represents a national security priority, a keystone in countering Russia and China's growing ambitions. But is this just bold rhetoric, or is America ready to challenge international law, sovereignty, and global stability for control of an Arctic prize? This is no mere diplomatic dispute. It's a seismic shift in how the world views its boundaries and the rules of engagement. The Kremlin has called the situation extraordinary. But is it possible that extraordinary is the new normal in the Trump era? As global powers circle like sharks, one question emerges: what happens next for the Arctic and for the world? Let's break it down. To understand the stakes, we need to rewind. Greenland, a self-governing territory of Denmark, has long been a strategic asset in global geopolitics. Its location, nestled between North America and Europe, holds immense military and economic significance, a gateway to the Arctic. The island sits on vast untapped resources, from rare minerals to oil and gas, and its proximity to crucial shipping lanes makes it a coveted prize. But here's the twist: Greenland's status has always been tied to sovereignty, with Denmark maintaining responsibility for defense, yet allowing the island to manage its internal affairs. Enter Trump's vision. His administration's desire to claim Greenland is driven not just by economic interests but by national security, an effort to counter Russia and China's growing presence in the Arctic. The world hasn't seen such bold moves since the height of the Cold War, but what's truly at play here? Is this a simple grab for power, or is the US pushing the limits of international norms? The roots of this conflict run deep in history, and the Arctic has long been a contested region. During the Cold War, the US established military bases in Greenland, capitalizing on its strategic location to monitor the Soviet Union. Since then, the US and Denmark have maintained a military presence, albeit with growing Greenlandic resistance to foreign control. The island's residents have always asserted their right to self-determination, but economic dependency on Denmark and its military protection have left them in a complex position. Fast forward to the 21st century, the Arctic has transformed from a remote frozen wilderness into a geopolitical hotspot. Climate change has opened up new shipping lanes, while the melting ice reveals untapped natural resources. Russia and China have steadily expanded their influence in the region, conducting military exercises and investing in infrastructure. For Trump, Greenland represents more than just a piece of land. It's an urgent matter of national security. But how does one justify the annexation of a land already governed by another nation? On January 3rd, a daring military operation to remove Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro set the stage for what would become a crisis of unprecedented scale. In the aftermath of that operation, Trump shifted focus to Greenland, claiming that the island's strategic importance had become too vital to leave in foreign hands. The public announcement was swift, bold, and shocking. A former US president casually talking about annexing a landmass halfway across the world. The world watched as tensions skyrocketed. The US government's aggressive stance on Greenland was met with astonishment in Europe. Denmark was quick to reject the idea, reaffirming its sovereignty over the island. But the situation didn't end there. Global security analysts were left scrambling to understand the broader implications. Could this be a precursor to more unilateral military actions by the US, disregarding international law and diplomatic norms? The stakes are now much higher than just Greenland. This move has drawn global lines in the sand, and yet Trump stands firm, dismissing international law as an obstacle to his vision. Behind this extraordinary claim lies a deeper mechanism, the pursuit of dominance in a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. For Trump, Greenland isn't just a strategic outpost, it's a symbol of power the ultimate chess piece in the Arctic's emerging Cold War. The US faces a two-front challenge: Russia's resurgent presence in the Arctic and China's growing influence in the region, from investments in infrastructure to military presence. But what exactly does Trump want to achieve? It's not just about acquiring land, it's about sending a message to Russia, China, and the world. The US will no longer be bound by the traditional rules. The president's comments about international law being secondary underscore his willingness to reshape global order to fit his America First vision. For the US, Greenland represents a pivotal position in countering Russia's military expansion and China's economic ambitions in the Arctic. This is a game of power, and Trump's actions raise critical questions about the future of international law. Will might truly make right in the Arctic, or is the global community willing to defend the norms that have held the world in balance for decades? As Trump's Arctic ambitions unfold, the global response has been swift and in many cases unforgiving. On the heels of the White House's blunt discussions with Denmark and Greenland, Europe has made its stance clear. Greenland is off limits. Denmark, which holds ultimate responsibility for Greenland's defense, rejected any notion of a US takeover, reaffirming its commitment to both the sovereignty of Greenland and its defense under NATO. The issue has quickly escalated beyond diplomacy. This is now a battle of wills between major global powers. The Arctic's strategic importance is undeniable, and the region's military significance has been amplified by Trump's aggressive rhetoric. NATO's involvement has been crucial, as several European allies, including France, Germany, and Norway, have bolstered their military presence in Greenland with joint exercises. These moves are a calculated response designed to signal unity and deter any attempt by the US to act unilaterally. Meanwhile, Russia has turned its attention to this new escalation. As Trump continues his push, Moscow's concerns about its own Arctic interests have intensified, further entrenching the region as a flashpoint for global tensions. But amidst the high-level political games, there's one voice that's being drowned out: the voice of the Greenlandic people. For them, this isn't just about geopolitics or power plays, it's about identity and sovereignty. Greenland has long been a symbol of self-governance, and the island's residents are fiercely protective of their autonomy. The idea of being sold off or annexed, whether by the US or any other nation, has sparked outrage across the island. Greenlanders' strong sense of independence is clear. They don't want to be pawns in a global power struggle. The island's leaders have expressed their desire to maintain their relationship with Denmark, but on their terms, and for them, international law and sovereignty are not negotiable. As one local official put it, "We are not for sale." This sentiment runs deep. Greenland's identity is inseparable from its autonomy, and any attempt to override that will have serious consequences, not just for the region, but for the global perception of how nations handle self-determination. The world is now watching as Greenland fights to protect its future. The ripple effects of Trump's Greenland push extend far beyond the island itself. The Arctic is quickly becoming the new front in global geopolitics, and what happens here will reverberate around the world. As the US seeks to dominate the region, Russia and China have both made it clear that they will not back down. Moscow, with its expanding Arctic military presence, views any US move in Greenland as an encroachment on its sphere of influence. Likewise, Beijing has shown increasing interest in the Arctic's resources and shipping routes, making this a competition not just for territory, but for control of the future. The Arctic is now a battleground for energy, military strategy, and trade routes. And with the region's growing importance, the international community is being forced to reckon with the shifting dynamics of power. From the melting ice to the rise of new maritime paths, the Arctic is becoming a symbol of a new world order, one where traditional power structures are no longer the same. The US, Russia, and China are now locked in a race for dominance, and Greenland is just the first battleground in this high-stakes game. As the Arctic heats up, we're faced with three possible futures, each shaped by the actions of global powers: the resistance of smaller nations, and the unpredictable nature of international diplomacy. Scenario 1, the good. In this best-case scenario, diplomacy prevails. The U.S. backs down, Greenland remains a self-governing territory, and international law is respected. Greenland's relationship with Denmark strengthens, and the region becomes a model for peaceful coexistence amidst rising geopolitical tension. The Arctic remains a place of cooperation, with nations working together to manage resources and mitigate environmental risks. Scenario 2, the middle ground here. The U.S. continues to assert influence in the Arctic, but without formal annexation. Greenland's sovereignty is upheld, but it becomes more integrated into Western defense networks, with NATO playing a larger role in the region. Tensions remain high, but diplomacy keeps open the possibility of future peace. Scenario 3, the bad. In the worst-case scenario, the U.S. pushes through its acquisition of Greenland, leading to a global crisis. International law crumbles under the weight of power politics, and the Arctic becomes the center of military escalation, potentially triggering broader conflict. Russia and China would likely respond aggressively, and the balance of global power would shift permanently. The future of Greenland is a microcosm of the broader struggles playing out in today's world, a world where power, resources, and strategic interests collide in unpredictable ways. What happens in the Arctic won't just affect the countries involved, it will define the very rules of international engagement in the 21st century. As the world watches, one thing is clear: the old systems are under threat, and new ones are being forged before our eyes. We are at a crossroads. Will the U.S. emerge as the dominant force in the Arctic, reshaping global norms to its advantage? Or will nations like Denmark, Greenland, and Russia hold their ground, proving that sovereignty and international law still matter? The choice will determine the future not just of Greenland, but of the entire planet's geopolitical order. As we face this new world order, one thing remains certain: the decisions made in the coming years will echo across generations. The question is, will we allow might to make right? Or will the world come together to defend the values that have held us together until now? The Arctic is watching, and so is the world.